and down the Korean drama hole we go. If you guys don't know, I've been checking out some Korean dramas provided by Netflix, which sadly seems to be the only form of entertainment for shows of any kind. Go see my Acolytes episode 3 / the only one I'm going to review, despite how many people ask me to review the shitty Acolyte episode 4, which, spoiler alert, it's a pile of shit. But that's not what we're talking about. We are talking about today. Hello, Carmen. Good to see you. YouTube has been doing a weird thing where it says there's 0 people here, but there's clearly someone here. So, anyways, love you, YouTube. I am talking about the latest Korean drama that I found called The Atypical Family. And if you ever wondered what This Is Us with superhero powers would be like, that's essentially this show. So I will start with my positives, go into my negatives, and yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to give away too much because part of the fun of this show is finding out what's going on. But the general gist is it tells the story of the Bak Gwen-jun family who all has powers, but due to situations in their lives, they've lost their abilities. So one has the ability to go back to moments they remember in their life. The grandmother can see the future when she sleeps. The kid is unknown, and the dude who can go back into the future, his wife died. So since that has happened, he has not been able to access his powers. And I believe the sister can fly, but due to being bulimic, no longer has the ability. So it's a very interesting concept to start off with because each person has lost their ability due to something that has happened in their life. And the overall gist of the show is that in order to achieve their powers again, they have to overcome the tragedies of their lives to get their powers. And the first half of the season is that, but then once they get their powers back, one amongst them is going to die, and their abilities, especially the main character, cannot specifically change things in the future. Especially the character, I believe it's Bong. Hold on a second. And forgive me, it's Korean names here. Bong Gwan-jun's power in particular, while he can go back into the future and see specific things, he cannot influence the future or the past. He can only see it, which is kind of a fucking useless power until you go through the show and find out there is actually more to his ability that he himself doesn't know. And I thought it was a very interesting concept. Now, why they say they're not superpowers technically, they're abilities that were given to them through their ancestors and some kind of lineage thing, and they all inherited these gifts throughout the years. And the daughter's power, the youngest daughter of Bong Gwen-jun, has a specific gift that they don't highlight till about the 4th or 5th episode when you find out what her power is and why she doesn't use it, which is probably the saddest of their abilities. All of these powers for them have had drawbacks directly tied into their lives, which once stuff happens that happens to them, hello, Kurt, good to see you. And hello, Samar. But anyways, once you find out why they don't have access to their powers, some of the stories become actually pretty heartbreaking, and a lot of it is tragic and whatnot. But so where do I start? So the positives about this. This show is surprisingly good. I thought it was going to be a standard Korean drama, which is they could be very sappy at certain points, but some of them, K-drama is a very broad class because you have things like Kingdom if you guys don't know, I've been meaning to do a review on that. That's considered a K-drama, but it's like a zombie apocalypse kind of thing. There's this other show I'll be talking about called Hierarchy, and that's a K-drama, but I consider it more like Korea's version of like Gossip Girl or Pretty Little Liars in that kind of vein, except for there's a revenge plot kind of deal going on. They're very surprisingly well written. This is intriguing because to me, this is kind of like I said in the beginning, a superhero drama with This Is Us kind of elements to it. It's walking a very fine line, and I don't think it hits everything, but I do think it hits most of what it's trying to do. So the show deals a lot with grief, tragedy, and overcoming your grief to become a better person. It's really a very blended show with a lot of different things going on. And I think that's a positive, and I'll also get into my negatives. Another positive is all of the actors here are very good. There's no villain per se in this show. You would think of it having powers. There'd be people with anti-powers, but they don't really go that route. There's like no main villain who's trying to take them all down. There is a villain per se, kind of, who is messing with their lives, but the conflict is more of the emotional things and a certain event that you get to later that the main character is trying to change because it is a source of the pain in their life. And I thought that was an interesting approach, because in a show like this, you could go one or two ways. You can make it a big spectacle and have a big, like, an evil guy who has powers and they're trying to stop him, and there's a parallel there. Or you can go the route that they are just dealing with life shit. And basically the show goes the route of most characters in the show are dealing with life shit. And that is the direct cause of why they can't use their ancestral powers. I think some of the messages were delivered good. Some of them kind of fall flat because there's a lot going on. This is a 12-episode series, and it does have a definitive end. I believe on the thing it says limited series. I don't know if they could do a season 2 to this. I think it's possible, but with the way that they leave it off, if they just ended with this season, it would be fine. It would be okay. But I do think that there's a little leeway for a season 2 if they wanted to go that route. So some of the good is the characters are pretty good. The concept is very interesting. And overall, there is some really fucking sad moments in this show. Like tear-jerking kind of sad moments, especially the little girl in this, and her backstory is the fucking saddest part of this show. It makes you like want to give this little girl a hug. The person who plays the daughter is very, very good. I don't know who the actress's name is because, Korean names. But I think it's Park So-yi. Yes, Park So-yi, who plays Bak Eun. And her story is the saddest story and probably the most heartbreaking out of the whole family. And I found that when I got halfway through the show, I was more interested in her. Oh, okay, thank you. You have a great day as well. But her story was the most compelling. So that's my positives. My negatives are some of the relationship stuff in this show I feel like takes away from the actual cool parts. Some of the special effects are a little bit wonky. And I think that some of the people who are the villains of the show or the antagonists, they become interesting, but much too late in the series. I wish they built upon the antagonistic people in this show a little bit better, because they don't have powers, and they aren't part of this really cool idea that they've built up with the main characters about their powers not working because of these tragic things in their lives. So when you get to like these people coming and just antagonizing them, it kind of feels like, what are we doing here? I really don't care about this. I want to get back to the little girl and her being constantly bullied by these little shits in school. But it really takes away from this overall message. Also, too, the force that starts to get their powers back, or the person who's supposed to be the, I guess you would say, love interest in the show. It's okay. Their chemistry is all right. I guess I brought it by the end, but it took a really long time for me to get there. And they throw some twists and turns with her character that were confusing. That was another thing too. The time travel element of the show is very fucking confusing. So they will do a weird thing where a specific moment in time happens, and we have a person flash back to it, and then something will change, and you think they changed it, but they didn't really change it. But then they go back to the present, and a certain specific thing has changed. And it was confusing because in the beginning it was established the person who had this power couldn't affect anything, but then they can. I don't know. It seemed like there was a little bit of a better way to do the time traveling elements, which is always a problem in these shows where you have time travel and establishing and then trying to break established rules. It's something I've seen in every time travel movie known to man, or anything made having to do with time travel is always a tricky thing. Also with premonitions and things like that, it's hard when you're dealing with those specific things to make the audience buy into it, and then to make it believable when they break the rules you've established. And once again, these are nitpicks. I will say, out of the vast majority of Korean dramas that I've watched, this one has the most intriguing premise and interesting ending, but not as compelling or captivating as the other ones that I've watched. I think that the one I covered before this, The Glory, was much better. It was just more enthralling. The ending was kind of like almost ruined it, but this one is the opposite. The beginning is very slow to build, but the ending is much better, and it does come to get better, a lot better than Glory did. I'm currently in the middle of Hierarchy, and right now that's just a fun show. I'm really hoping that the end of the show doesn't disappoint me, because the beginning initial setup and where I'm at right now is fun as hell, so that might be my favorite out of all of these. I'll get back to you on that. But yeah, I think it's worth a look. If you have Netflix, I would give it a try. If you're into superpower kind of things and you want to see what it would be like, it's like a cross between The Incredibles for the real life stuff, This Is Us for the drama, and then some kind of other genre all mixed in a blender and put together. That's kind of what the show reminds me of. But yeah, I think I'm going to give this show a 7. I think it's a very solid show. I think it's well made, and the writing is pretty good. The longer and the more episodes that went on, especially the last 2 episodes, were pretty strong. Well, episode 11 was kind of, but then I watched 12 and I see what they were going for. I think that the writing is pretty decent. The characters are very fascinating. All of the actors do a great job portraying the characters, especially the little girl, the 13-year-old girl. She's very, very good. And the main guy is my only other complaint, he doesn't really become a character until near the end of the show. And I get what they were going for, but I think it doesn't allow him to showcase his acting until the very end. And then you get to see how great of an actor this guy is. But for the first couple of episodes, he's kind of just mopey and depressed, which when I get why, but it really takes away when your main character's 90% of the time depressed in his room for a good majority of the show. So that's kind of confusing choice. But yeah, this is a solid show. If you like Korean dramas, if you want to see the superpowered version of This Is Us, this is probably a show you would find interesting. But just don't go into it thinking there's going to be a lot of like cool action scenes or stuff like that, because this is not that kind of show. It's heavy drama. Like, there are action-y scenes, but 90% of this was drama, which I didn't know going in. So fair warning, this is a very dramatic show, very soap opera-ish, which really isn't my thing. I think what kept me engaged was the superpowers, or I'm sorry, the ancestral powers, or whatever the fuck they try to say. They were superpowers, okay? One person can fly. They had superpowers. But I think that it was interesting, including things that, you know, would affect someone with supernatural gifts, like stress and bills and family events and deaths. You know, I think that concept is very cool within itself and hasn't been explored before. So thank you very much for watching. If you like this, give it a like. Let me know in the comments, what's your favorite K-drama? Have you seen any K-dramas? Are you intrigued in seeing this? I know there's been some people who have watched A Gloria, got a comment on that, so I guess K-dramas are the new thing, and I'm kind of late to the party, but I find them very fascinating. So, and it's been better than American television. My next review that I'm going to be putting out here in a couple of weeks will be one for The Crow, which I'm not looking forward to going to see. And next Tuesday, we are going to do a watch along for Demolition Man, so check that out. And then that Wednesday, we are going to finish up our Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone tier list with a battle. The top 10 Arnold movies versus the top 10 Stallone movies in a championship bracket kind of match, movie versus movie. I posted a poll, so go vote on that on X. But fuck you, I'm not calling it X. That's gay. Twitter, go check it out. I've got a poll up on my page on which movie, because we could not decide, is better between the Stallone movies. We have Rocky and Demolition Man as the top movies of the night. So go vote on that, on which one you think wins that, because that's going to be considered the GOAT of the night. Anyways, thank you everybody for watching. And as always, remember, there is only one rule here in the Phantom Zone: kneel before Zod.